Across the aisle, GOP presidential candidates are preparing for the next debate. It is just days away and focuses on the economy. The pressure is on former frontrunner Jeb Bush, whose poll numbers are, you might say, dismal. And this week, he announced a major campaign reshuffle, including cutting the payroll by 40%. David Payne is a partner at Vox Global, and John Neffinger is the president of the Franklin Forum PAC. David, first to you, is Jeb Bush's campaign merely sick, or is it on life support?
It's definitely on a slide, Leland. There's no question about it. When you cut your budget and staff and salaries by almost half, you're in triage mode, and you're trying to turn that campaign around and reverse the slide.
All right, so, John, what is more telling to Democrats in terms of where they see blood in the water when it comes to Jeb Bush? Is the issue the poll numbers, which obviously have just not held up and his negatives are very high, or is it the fact that it appears, at least, that fundraisers are abandoning him?
You know, I think all of the GOP establishment candidates have been just doing terribly on the trail. It's their actual performance out there. We've seen gaffes from Jeb. We saw just this past week another gaffe from Marco Rubio, another candidate that people had been trying to get excited about, where he has a terrible voting record in the Senate and then went to the Senate floor and said government employees who don't do their jobs should be fired. Well, that's you, Marco. So the establishment candidates really aren't getting any kind of traction at all, which is why you see you can put all of the existing GOP politicians' poll numbers together, and they still don't add up to 50%. It's all Ben Carson,
right.
All Donald Trump. That's where all the energy is.
John, you just said the magic word, which is Donald Trump and Ben Carson. I guess that's actually two magic words we're going to talk about next, including this latest Des Moines Register poll coming out that now shows this flip between Donald Trump, who had been at the top of every poll for about the past 90 days or so. Just ask him. He told you he was at the top of every poll. And now you see Ben Carson at the top of this Iowa Des Moines Register poll. David, what do you make of this? Is this the bloom off the rose yet for Donald Trump?
Absolutely. Look, 3 out of 4 Republican voters for the primary are looking for a different candidate. Donald Trump's support has not really been able to climb out of that 25% mode. So yes, absolutely, Carson's been doing it very well in his own soft-spoken sort of way. But there are other candidates that are up and coming, and you know, Marco Rubio's been gaining in the polls. He's been gaining in fundraising. He has the excitement and the passion of his supporters behind him, and I also think that similar things are happening for Ted Cruz.
John, who do Democrats want to run against more? A GOP, shall we say, somebody from the establishment, somebody like a Marco Rubio, or do you want to run against somebody like a Ben Carson?
Yeah, I absolutely think the establishment, because the Republicans are not going to win this election on policy. The Republican Party platform is to cut Social Security, cut taxes for billionaires, start another war in the Middle East, throw people off health insurance. What the Republicans are going to need, if they're going to be competitive in this race at all, is a non-traditional candidate, which is why you've seen Donald Trump, Ben Carson, whose appeal I have to admit personally escapes me, but nevertheless they're looking for somebody out of the box who can capture the imagination of the American public. Otherwise they're kind of dead in the water. All
right, so John, you said out of the box. Take a listen to what Donald Trump is now saying about the polls that before he used to quote day in and day out.
Right.
We'll see what happens, because I find it hard to believe. I was in Iowa 3 days ago. We had such an unbelievable turnout that I find it really difficult to believe that I'm in second place, but we'll find out.
David, should he believe the polls?
Yes, absolutely. I think there's plenty of, like I said, plenty of GOP voters who are looking for an alternative, 3 out of 4, and they're starting to find it as our race narrows down, and we narrow down to some really strong finalist candidates, including Ben Carson, Marco Rubio, possibly Ted Cruz, who's doing really well with fundraising, both amongst big donors and small donors. There's a lot of momentum building, and we're 100 days out from voting in Iowa, so the race is narrowing down. It's going to get exciting, I think.
Well, I don't think anyone disagrees that it's going to get exciting. In fact, we'll leave it there. David, John, thanks for your guys' insights.
Thanks, Leland.
All the best.